Hello again. I'm gonna make a little bit of a different video today. I had a problem with my X1c. Actually, I've had this problem for a while, but I didn't think it was as serious as it was. You know, when you keep unplugging and replugging the hot end, there's this tiny connector on the extruder PCB that you always need to, be gentle with, and you need to like use your like small pin to hold it down and pull it backwards. Well, at some point there, I had a problem where I accidentally yanked the whole thing off, and I thought it was just the plastic that had been sort of came out of the socket. What I didn't notice was that, let's see, I'll just unpack it here so you can see, because I had to go to the step of purchasing new ones. I'll explain in a bit. So this is the, I don't know if you can see. Let's see if I can zoom in a bit and focus. And focus, yeah. So this connector here is the one that gives, I think it's power to the hot end or power to the fan. I'm not really sure. It's one of them, but there are 4 connectors inside this. There are 2 on the side, one here and one here, and then you have 2 on the bottom here. Oh, that's nice. I don't know if you can see that. Let me see if I can get a picture of that. They fixed that. You can see if I can get a good picture of it. Do you see here? It's like black and shiny. That's hot glue. On the original one in my Bambu X1, there is no hot glue there. So there, under this hot glue here at the bottom, there are 2 small pins that are soldered onto the PCB. And that is great. That is bloody great. Is that? That's just silly. I don't know if you can see that, but inside the connector, it's filled with some kind of paste. I don't know if that is flux from soldering or whatever, but that's just messed up. Let's check the other one. I bought 2 because they only have 2 in stock. That's messed up. Let's check. Really? That's not what I ordered. That's not what I ordered. I think I need to have a talk with them. That's a little bit more expensive than the PCB board. Okay, so I ordered 2 of this board, because they had 2 in stock. And they sent me a 0.2 complete hot end with fan and everything. Oh, that's awesome. I will have to talk to them, because apparently they have some stock issues now at Polyalkemi. Thank you, Polyalkemi, for sponsoring this video. Actually, it's not a sponsorship. So, how can I clean that out? Do I have compressed air here? Compressed air. That is just spray paint. That is definitely with compressed air. So how can I get that out? Give me a second here. I need to find some tools now. So that's that. I was not expecting that at all. It's not that I couldn't use one, but should I be the good guy and just let them know, or should I be bad and say nothing? I think they have always treated me nicely, so I will just be honest with them and tell them. Because I could just be a bastard and just keep the hot end, because the hot end cost, I think it's like, in Norway at least, it's like 40 euros or something for the whole thing. And this is not that much, maybe 30 euros because of the import. I actually see that I don't know if you can see that it's like shiny everywhere. Looks like they put hot glue on almost all of the pieces here, except this one. And except this one. So there's no hot glue on the bottom one and this one, but this one and this one have a hot glue. This one has something inside it, which is gonna be very tricky to get out. I need something else. Lawyers. So I'm nearsighted. I have to take off my glasses every time I do stuff like this. Now I need to take a little bit of the cotton from this. Just like you could take a cotton ball like this and grab off some pieces like this. So some tweezers like this. IPA, isopropanol alcohol. Into it goes. See if I can clean this. Look good there, but there's a lot of stuff on that one. I need to change it. Not use so much at a time. And just twigging it around the tweezer like this. And I'll try to go inside and just get it out. Trying to just dissolve the flux or whatever is inside there. See if I can get it out. It helped to just wiggle a bit with the tweezer inside there. We sort of dissolved the flux or whatever it was. So now I'm just trying to just dry it up a little bit with small pieces of cotton buds. I'm just using this here. Because on my I actually I asked ChatGPT what is the name of the connector used here, and it gave me actually the part number, and surprisingly it also, because I said I couldn't get a good picture of the part, so I just showed it a picture of the PCB board and said it was from the extruder board from X1c, and then it said, oh, there is a lot of reports of actually the connectors falling off because it's really it's just two small weak connection points holding it into the solder at the bottom, and I can confirm that because my original Bambu X1 didn't have any like is it even going down there? It didn't even have any hot glue that connected it, so it was kind of easy to rip it off with your fingers. And yeah, it seems to be going okay with cleaning this thing, but it wasn't my plan. So sorry for this ending up to be not exactly the kind of video I was planning to, but just another day at Tsukasa. See if I can scrape out some more. In case you're wondering, I'm gonna tilt the camera so you can see that I have like a light here. So I'm trying to get out every leftovers here from the side. Maybe we can wash it a little bit again with the isopropyl alcohol. This is your friend with electronics, EPA. It's so much you can do with it when it comes to cleaning and preparing and stuff like that. In my mouth. It's not supposed to be drunken. Ah. That was not the plan. It's what you do when you don't have compressed air. I think it looks pretty okay now. I'm gonna give it a small drying again. IPA is conductive, but it vaporizes really fast, so don't worry if you get it in your electric parts. There. I think that looks much better. See if we can get a zoom on that. So see those pins there? The pins there on the side, as well as the pin on the top. They were both covered in some kind of residue, but now it's pretty clean down there, so I can use the connector again. But yeah, I ordered 50 of these from AliExpress because it's a standard kind of connectors. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a video at some point where I change this on the PCB so that people can see basically how to repair this if they can get these connectors. I paid $1 or something for 50 of them from AliExpress. And if you have these PCBs, instead of paying a lot of money, if this is the only thing that keeps breaking, you could basically buy this, this, and this, and this as a set and just replace it if it breaks off. And yeah, so it's not hard. This is surface mounted, so you have it's just smaller versions of these pins here on the side here, under here, and on the front here you can see. So it's not hard to replace these. This one as well, in the middle on each side there is like a metal pin that you sort of guide it on, so it's okay. You can actually see the metal pin here on this one. There you see it. But there's like a hot glue here, so yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna pause the video there, and I'm gonna show you guys also how to remove this specific board from the X1c, because that was a little bit of trouble for me. So see you in a bit. Okay, so to access this board, there are a few steps. Let's start with this one. I will just disconnect the tool head completely. Give me a second. The cover, I'll just take that off just because it makes it easier to work. You don't really need to, but it makes it easier to work. So the board itself is sitting right here, and you will need two kind of screwdrivers. This is equivalent to the one you remove your hotend with, and this is equivalent to the one you unhinge your cutting arm with. So you need those two, and preferably you need a screwdriver which you can rotate without too much problem. I don't recommend the electric one unless you have one that you can adjust speed, because you don't want to break the screws or anything. Now, if you get this off, it's not hard, but to put it back on, that is difficult because there's a magnet here. See, there's a magnet here to hold the front cover on, and that is gonna pull the screw every time you try to put it in. So what you need to do is, to get it back in, you need to loosen this cover. It's like the side top cover. And the first time I did this, I struggled because you cannot get the card back inside behind this cover unless you first flip up this cover here, and you cannot get anything to sort of fit. Now, if you do this, make sure you turn off the power and unplug your printer, because you don't want to get electrocuted. It says specified everywhere, don't do this if you don't know what you're doing, basically. You don't have to remove the extruder, but it helps. It gives you more space. I know what I'm doing now, so I'm going to try and do it without having to remove the extruder. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to screw out this because it's sort of halfway in the way. So let's start with that. And I'll go the small bit for that. It's just a small screw on the side here. If you ever have a problem putting this back in, it's because this screw here goes all the way through and it will jam against the cover here. So just take it far out, don't loosen it completely, and just let it fall down. So that is one of the issues. Now you need to remove the cables here. I have this. So this is almost like when you want to disassemble your hotend. I'm just gonna move this a bit to the side so I can wedge it. That is that. And then you have the other one. I'm gentle with these now because I don't want to break any more than I need. And I'm gonna try and repair this board when I receive the parts from China, from AliExpress. So see if I can wiggle this out as well. There. Now this one here may actually come off if I try to take the cable. So I'm gonna try, but I think it will. Yeah, you see it came off, and that is basically the problem. This connector here has pins on the underside. These pins would normally press from the underside. They would press against the circuit, not when they're soldered, then they are fixed, but because I actually broke them off, I have been living on grace. These have just basically been pressing on the sockets, and the printer has worked, but remarkably so. So I have bought a new one of this, and I'm gonna fix the soldering and hot glue it down to fix the main board. Anyway, so I have removed the cables now. And then you have to remove the cable from the extruder because it's also connected there. Just gently wedge that out. The cable for the extruder actually has a little bit of like a silicone or hot glue on it from original. Okay, so I'm just going to remove this. To remove this, you press down here on the black and you just wedge it on the back like this. You don't have to remove this. That's fine, it can stay in there. Now there are two screws holding this. There's one here and there's one just under the magnet here, but the main board itself is inside here. Now there are also two screws here, and that is to secure the clamp here, which controls the data to and from the board. So we're going to remove that first. And for that I'm using the small bit. And just make sure you don't lose these screws. It really helps when you have a magnetic tip on your screwdriver. Just gently wedge it out. And please notice the bend on the clip here is not outwards. It goes like this, inwards, over and out, and this way. And the screws are identical, so you don't have to worry about the screws falling out or anything. So there, and that. Okay, so the next one is I'm gonna just unhook the main board. You have to be really gentle with this. It's not very strong. Just gently pop it out. Don't bend it or anything. Keep it. Don't touch it so much. Just leave it there. Now you have this screw here again, small one. There. And just place them beside each other on the board so you know where they are. And then you have The last one, which is kind of hard to see when you don't look perfectly on it, is here. Is sticking to the magnet. There, now it came out. So that's that. So to get this out, it's not so hard. Now there are 4 screws here you need to remove. It's 2 on each side here, and it can be a little bit cumbersome. Sometimes you need to move the tool head to the side to be able to unscrew it. There, that was one. I just want to separate this so I know exactly which screw goes where. Try not to bend or push or use force on anything, because it's really not needed on these. You have to be gentle, almost like surgical tools. There, that one is out. Then I need to access them on the other side too, because it's the same on the other side. It's easier to get them off than to get them in. There. And then you have this. I didn't know any of this. I just tried, and then I figured it out by myself. I didn't actually read the wiki on how to remove this. It's kind of logical if you look at it. So there. Now I got. The reason I am removing or just unhinging the cover is because I'm going to place the new one in right now. So yeah. So you can see then that I've unscrewed the board, so it's basically hanging loose. And then you have this. What you do is you just gently pull on the sides, and then you angle it upwards just a tiny bit. Not so much, just enough to that you don't have the magnet here in the way when you want to place the board again. And now you can use your fingers. I'm just going to use this now. And then you can just take it. So the problem is really with you can actually see the pins of the connector there, just here. See them sticking out, and they are basically not even soldered on. It's just one of them soldered on. So that's something I'm gonna fix when I get the new ones. And you can see that behind that there are 2 small pins. They are okay. There's nothing wrong with them, so I'll leave them, and I'll just solder on them the new ones. So this is the old board, which I'm going to restore in a later video. Okay, so we have the new controller board for the extruder, and I'm going to place it in. To do that, you just sort of place it on the edge of the frame and gently leave it in place. Then you take one of the screws, the main screws. I would start with the inside first, because that's also an advantage now, is I can actually see. Try to avoid there. I'm not fully tightening in it. I just get the screw in place, because if I tighten it, maybe I won't get the other screw in if it's a little bit skewed. So there. I actually realized I had a problem because I got negative degrees after I had replaced the extruder, and it was weird. Suddenly it was okay, and then it was negative again, and then it was okay, and suddenly it actually showed 0 degrees on the nozzle. It never does that. It usually shows room temperature, because that's what your nozzle minimum has. It has room temperature. Okay, so I have physically attached the PCB. Now we have to connect this. It's sometimes a little bit fiddly, so I'm going to see if I can do that now. Gently. There. That went into place nicely. There. And then I'll just reverse the procedure with the clamp. It's a bit difficult. I need to sort of, it's not easy when you have big fat fingers like mine. Try to always make sure that the screws get into the threads correctly, so you don't have a problem with ruining the threads, because these screws are like M2, really small. You don't want to ruin them. And here, to get this one in place, just tilt it up a gentle little bit with your finger, and then get the other screw in before you tighten it. If you feel resistance, then it's wrongly inserted. So there, and then I'll just move it over, and I'll finally secure it on the other side where I started. There. And that is it. Now comes a little bit of the hard part, because I need to get this cover back in place. And it's easier said than done. You need to press it down here, so it's sort of aligned, and then you need to press it down on the sides. But sometimes it has a tendency to move outwards, sideways, and you don't want that. You want it to be perfectly flush with whatever is going on. So you need to sort of find out why it's not flush, and you need to fix that. Usually it's because it doesn't align with the so I'll just, it looks fine on this side. I'll attach that first. So I'll just move that over. See? Don't use force trying to get it in, because it will clip into place by itself once you get it in the exact right position. There should be no gaps or anything, so don't be patient with it, because it should fit perfectly back. There. I'll push this over a bit so I can see. Remember last time I had to actually hold it into place because of this there. I think that's it. Oh, and just break off the cover. Really? Looks like I've broken off the cover inside. Oh well. I'll see if I cannot fix that somehow. It is flush now, so I'll try and get a screw in there. This is the hard part because I need to hold it while I put a screw on my magnetic screwdriver, and then I need to screw with the wrong hand, which is not my main hand, to get it into the hole in the exact right position. Let's pray I get that right. Now the other one, same. There. There. I think that should do it. Let's check. It's perfectly flush. I'm not happy here, but it will have to do. And I will just put on the PTFE tube because it's in the way. I'll just reattach this. And to screw in this, you just have to hold it all the way in. Remember, there should be no need for force when you move it to the center of the extruder. There. Now that is in place. Then looks like we got all the screws in where it should be. We'll start with the extruder. Okay, get that under a bit, and I'll start with this. We have this, and I'll put that inside. I like to tuck the cables inside because it's sometimes the head, the cover can fall out if the cables are sort of loose inside. It's my preference at least. And then it's the tool head cover. Here. And that is basically how you replace the PCB for the X1c. I have no screws left over, so there are no screws on the build plate. Let's see if we can get the temperature to show correct on this now. Power on. Bring it down to the display. Sorry if it's wobbly. I have my camera on a stand. Let's see if I can get you guys a picture. Let's see. Now the nozzle says 28 degrees. That is promising. And let's see if I can do a I think I did that already on it. I'm going to see if I can just run some cleaning filament through it. At least it spins up. I want to press on the camera on the phone. I don't know if you can see, but it's extruding filament. To be honest, this could have been the reason for all my problems lately with the prints have some adhesion problems and everything, and that could very well have been the reason. So that looks great, and I'm back to printing. So hope you like this video, and thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Like and sub for more.